Guys, Hammer for S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3, Episode 19, Failed Experiments, and I was definitely looking forward to this episode for several reasons. One, because, I think we've really been on a streak lately with this whole Daisy situation. It's a very interesting situation that we're in, and of course, Hive has been such a badass, but also because, if you guys didn't know, this is the first episode of the Fallen Agent arc, which I can't wait to see how this turns out. It basically is going to take us to the end of the season. Someone is going to die, and I was thinking someone was going to die in this episode, but I definitely think this episode gives us more of a clue of who really is doomed based on this episode, definitely. But let's just get into this episode, because this not only was a great episode for Daisy, I think, but also was a really great episode for Hive. We actually really found out a lot more about Hive in this episode, which I really did love. But let's just get into this episode. There's a lot to talk about, as usual, and we see, I love the way this episode is done, because it really shows that Hive has been around for generations. We've known this ever since Hive was there. We've known that he's been around in many, many forms, and we see that in this first scene. Over a millennia ago, the Mayan who will become Hive, he hunts down a boar and he kills it, and then looks up as an alien ship lands nearby. The man runs off and trips and finds himself confronting two Kree Reapers, and Hive explains that the Kree Reapers took him back to their ship and began the experiment. They used their blood to transform his DNA and initiating Terrigenesis, and the first Inhumans were Daisy's ancestors, which I thought was very interesting. The way that they are connected to Daisy really, I think, shows this new connection between Daisy and Hive, shows why these two really are kind of meant to work together, kind of. And Hive then talks to the remaining Hydra directors, points out they're the only faithful to evade capture after Malik's betrayal, and he says that it's time for the reward and that they're next, because we know, of course, that really Malik did want to stop Hive, and that's the thing that obviously got him killed. So basically, now they're next, and at the base, Lincoln asks Melinda if there's any word on Daisy, and he just wants to help, really. He just wants to make sure that she's okay, and Melinda reminds him that the last time he helped her wasn't helpful. Now, let me say this. You guys know, I don't think that Lincoln and Daisy has exactly been working. They just don't have the best chemistry, but Lincoln's concern for Daisy is really believable. I definitely will say that. I think his concern for Daisy, you definitely see that he really cares about her. That I really did believe here, and Melinda reminds me the last time he helped, it wasn't helpful. She points out that he was torturing Alicia for answers, and Lincoln refuses to apologize for trying to save someone he cares about, because he will go to extensive lengths to make sure that Daisy's safe. And Melinda tells him that they all care about Daisy, and tells Lincoln to help by stop trying to help, basically. That the best thing to do is to not help, because he's really not doing them any good. So in the lab, we see Fitzsimmons are trying to create a way to negate Hive's parasites, and without doubt, some of the best scenes in this episode are Fitzsimmons. I love that these two are together. I really do. I love that basically they decide that they are a couple, that they want to be together. It's risky, but they don't care. They want to be together, especially knowing that someone's going to die. Gemma worries that the antitoxin would kill a human host, and they don't know what it will do to Inhuman DNA, because Inhumans, of course, don't function as like humans do. And Fitz doesn't see that they have a choice, reminds that Daisy threatened to kill him, and because of that, they basically have to do this. And Gemma points out that she had to put up with Hive using Ward's face, and wonders which Inhuman will test the antitoxin, and Lincoln comes in, overhears, and volunteers himself as a test subject. And even though Melinda told him, don't get involved, this is how he's going to help. He's going to help exactly by not helping, just by volunteering. Sounds like a good idea, definitely. So, in his office, Coulson is running searches for Daisy, finally spots her at a mechanic's garage in South Wyoming. Mack discovers it's a mining town that went through a natural gas boom, and dirty wells drove out most of the locals, and basically, Hydra recently bought it out through a shell company, which would make sense because it's a good place for them to hide out. They figure that Hive has relocated there, because we know that Hive has essentially taken over Hydra at this point, and Coulson figures that Daisy let herself being seen to set a trap, and he points out that Daisy is the one who programmed the facial recognition software they used to find her, basically. So because of that, that should give them that should help them be able to find her, because like I said in the last review, Daisy is a hacker, and that's something that they can't do as well. But the fact that they have this program that she used really does help them. So Mack figures that Daisy wants them to find her, but Coulson doesn't really believe it. He feels that Daisy kind of just wants to be on her own, but he overrides Mack, tells him that he wants him and Mack to lead together, strike to kill Hive, because he really feels that Daisy is completely brainwashed and that she really doesn't want help. But I like that Mack is trying to say that no, Daisy, the real Daisy, is still in there. And in the town, Hive explains it represents the worst of humanity. Daisy figures that the town needed strong leadership and tells Hive that Coulson is the reason that she joined S.H.I.E.L.D. And I love these scenes between Daisy and Hive, because there's a lot of reasons we see why Daisy left S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm really starting to think that this was a personal reason. Like, she would have left S.H.I.E.L.D. regardless of if Hive got to her or not, because it really does seem like Daisy had a genuine reason for doing this. But again, she is under Terrigenesis, so again, there's that whole thing of every scene with Daisy, you really are questioning, is this real, or is this just the Terrigenesis, taking a toll on her? And basically, Hive insists that S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Kree both made soldiers for their unending wage, and that S.H.I.E.L.D. exists to fight wars, and which is very much true. I do get what he's trying to say, that S.H.I.E.L.D. will always try to fight, and yeah, that's true. I mean, what's Coulson's solution is always to fight, and Daisy wonders how they're different, because really, in many ways, they're not, and Hive says that he's no soldier. They go to a mining facility, and Daisy wonders how Hive got kicked off of Earth, and he explains that when people saw the connection he had with other Inhumans, it bred fear that led to civil war, and the references to Civil War in this episode are very strong. You expected them probably to do that, though, because, of course, Captain America Civil War does come out tomorrow. You expected them to have those reveals in here. I'm not surprised that they have those references, because, of course, next week's episode is actually going to be in direct consequence to what ends up happening in Civil War. So I basically am forced to watch Civil War tomorrow, which I was going to see anyway, but, which probably review for that tomorrow. But now they can recreate the Kree experiment, and Holden has rigged up their patients to his compound. He hopes to transform their DNA, make them Inhumans, and Hive plans to give everyone superpowers and tells Holden to go ahead. He injects the compound of the 3 volunteers, Rhythm Pain, and then melts, and I think we really understood more what Hive's really trying to do. He doesn't just want to, he doesn't really want to end up, he basically wants to see the connection that he had with other Inhumans, and he wants everyone to really have these abilities, which I think is very interesting, and you really start to understand why Hive is doing what he's doing, which I did like seeing. And again, I'm not saying that we necessarily agree with Hive, but he's not wrong in saying that S.H.I.E.L.D. is there to fight wars, which in many ways they are. I mean, think of how long this S.H.I.E.L.D. Hydra conflict has been going on. It's been going on since the first season, and it's finally going to end this year, definitely, but, it's still going on. So, Melinda and Mack prepare to move out as the team loads up the Zephyr with weapons. Mack tells Agent O'Brien and Piper that they'll be loaded with the best equipment S.H.I.E.L.D. has. He insists that Melinda take a gun, warning that they can't leave anything to chance, and when Melinda wonders why he's so motivated, Mack says that it's on him because Daisy was his partner, and they had that dynamic, and they worked together, and really he feels a part of him is gone without Daisy, and she tells him to get his head on straight. Mack says that the mission is about him making things right, and it's a really great scene. You really do see that Mack misses that void in his life. He needed Daisy. They really were best friends, as we know, and he really feels like he's missing something. So in the lab, Fitzsimmons tells Coulson about their plan. Lincoln figures that Gemma's being overly cautious, and Coulson asks Fitz for his opinion, and Fitz says that he thinks there's a chance the cure could work, and when Gemma asks him if he wants Daisy to die, Fitz says they have the chance, and Coulson refuses to give his approval, tells Fitzsimmons to come up with other options, and I like that these two are divided here. Like, Gemma's convinced the cure is going to work, and Fitz doesn't. It's a really good dynamic. It shows that even though they're together, they don't necessarily have to agree, and I did like seeing that, and, he's really unsure if this cure is actually going to work, and Coulson, doesn't even think it's a valid way to fix things. He doesn't really think that's how it's going to work. So, at the bar in the mine town, James and the Alicias drink and play pinball. Daisy joins them, and James says that he never liked people, so he moved away from them, and he invites her to dance, and she refuses. James wonders if she's pining over Lincoln, and the man points out that S.H.I.E.L.D. is trying to stop them, figures that they're on the opposite side, and it's going to end very badly for them, and Daisy says there might be one way, which is to make them understand, and basically make them understand what they're fighting for, make them understand why she left, and yeah, I mean, that is kind of a way to do it, because of the fact that, we know that obviously one of the reasons that, she needs to give him a reason why she left. They still don't really know the reason why Daisy really left. I mean, they kind of have some ideas, but they don't really know exactly why she met. And I think that's something that they need to find out, is how they, find out how she left, why'd she leave, things like that. This is something that they still don't know, and I definitely did like seeing that. I also really like seeing Radcliffe in this episode, because we know Radcliffe was on their side at this point. Radcliffe warns Hive the DNA makeup of Inhumans is incredibly complex. He says it would work if he had the right ingredients, and says that he needs DNA from a living Kree, because obviously the Kree created Hive, and the Kree is the reason that Inhumans are around, and Hive's blood is from a dead host, and Radcliffe wasn't sure and was frightened, and Hive chokes him, says that he can take his body and his mind, and just the fact that he's just, this is a minor little thing, but to Hive, this is a huge thing, and the scientist insists that he can make it work. He wants to make it work, and Hive releases him, pulls the cloth off a device, tells Radcliffe to be terrified of what they can do, and really crazy scene. I mean, you can just tell that he really is trying to take this as seriously as possible, and Agent Anderson then preps a strike team, warning that there are at least 40 combatants in the town, and Coulson tells the team to not kill Hive. He doesn't think that's the one thing to do, and that to not engage the other Inhumans. If Hive can't be killed, then Coulson advises them to run, because they really can't kill him, because that will trigger the other Inhumans, and it'll just make things worse for them. And really, they just need to run away, because they know how powerful Hive really is. I mean, one breath, and he can just get you under his power, which really is just very scary. And that's the thing I love here, is that while we understand why Hive is doing what he's doing, it doesn't make him any less terrifying. He still is just as terrifying. The fact that he can just the fact that he can just get you under his, skin and get you under his command with just his breath is crazy. And Fitz talks to Gemma, asks if they're good after this agreement. She says that they are, and they both agree that they shouldn't let their work disagreements affect their relationship. And I love the scene where he's talking about Milton, this guy that she used to date. I think that was very funny, and I just really liked that. That was a really cute scene. But as they return to the lab, they see Lincoln injecting himself with the antitoxin. His powers go crazy, he collapses, and Gemma prepares to give him an elixir to counter the antitoxin, but he says that his body can handle the antitoxin and begs him to let him do it. And I legitimately thought that Lincoln was going to die here. I really thought so. I mean, again, they told him that they don't want him to do this, that it's just not safe, and that it's not going to work out well for him. But of course, in Lincoln's mind, this is the way that he saves Daisy, because again, what did Melinda say? Get involved without actually getting involved. This is how he does that. He's not directly helping them in this mission, but he is doing something that can help them to see if this actually works. And of course, they don't know if this is actually going to work, and, of course, Lincoln is under Hive's command, so that's really why they're really worried about this. And they still don't really what I love is that they still don't really understand how Hive works. I mean, even though they're starting to understand more and more, they still aren't an Inhuman, and they still aren't under Hive's control, so they don't fully understand how he works, and I definitely love seeing that. So, Coulson watches from the Zephyr via the helmet feeds. The strike team searches the town. They spot James walking down the street, follow him back to the bar. Melinda then goes in posing as a Hydra agent and says the area is only authorized for Hydra members. James flirts with her, and Melinda demands to know what he's doing there. He uses power to detonate a pool ball, and Melinda apologizes. James says if she has a drink with him, then he'll consider it, and we know she wants James on her side. They want some Inhumans on their side. And as they drink, James talks about Hive is working on an experiment to turn humans into Inhumans, and that really is what he wants to do. He wants to turn every human into an Inhuman and get them under his control. Not just to get them under his control, but also so they have these advanced abilities. And that's something I liked about Hive, is that it's not just about control for Hive. It's also about, basically restarting the population and making them all Inhumans, and basically giving them that advantage, which is very interesting. So listening in, Coulson figures that's why Hive abducted Radcliffe, because Radcliffe, of course, was going to help them find a cure for Daisy, and of course they can't do that now, because Radcliffe is now helping Hive turn humans into Inhumans, which I get out why Radcliffe was easy to approach. Not just because he's under Hive's control. That's not really what it's about. I think it's also because Radcliffe understands what Hive is doing, and to him, it might be actually a good thing. So Hive summons Daisy, tells her they were both given powers by outside forces, and the connection that these two have, I really did like seeing. He wants she can defeat what made her, and says that S.H.I.E.L.D. will attempt to sabotage their connection. Daisy wants to put them through Holden's process, and once the man has worked out the kinks, and insists that she has to try, Hive asks her what she will do if she fails. Daisy says that she'll rip their heart out and relieve. Hive tells her that their plans have changed, and she's literally willing to kill. She's willing to kill here, and again, you still don't know, is she totally under his control? It's a really crazy scene here. So Lincoln tells Fitz that they both knew he did the right thing. Fitz points out that Lincoln disobeyed Coulson's orders, and Gemma comes over to say that she'll need to take a brain sample. Lincoln is less than thrilled, and Gemma goes to work, but that's what they need. They need samples because they need to know if this is really going to work. So Melinda plays pool with James, suggests that she'd like to meet Hive, and James offers to introduce her, says that Hive is in an abandoned mine facility. Once she has the information she needs, Melinda knocks James out. Mack and the others have heard the conversation, and they move in on the facility, and basically Hive tells Daisy that S.H.I.E.L.D. is coming for them. The strike team hears some kind of broadcast device, and they find a device with Kree writing transmitting a signal. Anderson warns that something isn't coming, and Coulson tells the team to move out because he knows what's coming, and Hive tells Daisy that the Kree are coming, and obviously the Kree create him, and they're basically the main thing that is going to jumpstart what Hive wants to do. So as the team gets out, a ship satellite into the facility, 2 Kree Reapers emerge from their burning building, and I mean, the Krees are really creepy, definitely, but again, you understand why the Kree are there. You understand that they're there for a purpose, and that purpose is for what Hive wants to do. And at the town church, Hive tells Daisy that he sent a signal to the Kree. He explains that they're Reapers and exist only really to hunt, and they've been in stasis for thousands of years orbiting the solar system, and Daisy points out they're the only beings who can defeat Hive, but Hive figures that they can defeat them together, and he explains that they need blood for a living Kree and wants Daisy to get it, which is very interesting that Daisy wants to get it and everything. So Melinda joins the team, and Mack wonders whose side that the Reapers are on because she doesn't really know. Are the Reapers on Hive's side or are they on their side? And two of the Alicias attack one of the Reapers. He kills them both. The S.H.I.E.L.D. team watches from a distance, and Melinda wonders why Hive summoned hunters because obviously they're hunting down Inhumans. I mean, they're not someone, they're basically essentially watchdogs like we saw where they hunt down Inhumans, and Coulson tells them to follow their close distance but to not engage, and the Reapers head for the church and the ground shakes because he knows how powerful these Reapers are, and Mack realizes that it's Daisy, goes to rescue his former partner, telling the others to meet at the extraction point, and this scene was incredible between Daisy and Mack. Without a doubt, this was the highlight of the episode. I mean, that whole episode was great. It was a really good backstory for Hive, but this really, I think, was the standout scene here. This really was fantastic because we obviously saw Daisy have that whole scene with Fitz last week, but we didn't really get to see Daisy fully explain why she got to leave, and this really is when she gets to do that, and I really did love seeing that here. So basically, the other Reaper enters the facility. Daisy steps out to blast it back. He charges back at her. Daisy fights him. She disarms him and smashes him down and breaks the spine. Daisy then tells Radcliffe to drain it, and the other Reaper enters the church, confronts Hive. Meanwhile, Melinda, O'Brien, and Piper come in, and Melinda tells the others to stay down in case the Reaper kills Hive for them. And meanwhile, Hive says that they don't have to fight, and the Reaper attacks him. Hive easily avoids his blows, which is crazy, and holding them, and basically, we see Radcliffe removes the blood from the Kree, tells Daisy that they'll have all the blood that they need, and basically, Mack comes in, says that Daisy's coming with him, and she says that she doesn't need Mack's help, and it says that she's doing it to save him by making him an Inhuman, and in Daisy's mind, this is a good thing that she's doing, she's turning them into Inhumans, she's giving them these advanced abilities, and Daisy says that she isn't lost anymore, and Mack says that Hive is messing with her head. He is convinced that this is all Hive, but honestly, this scene seemed very genuine, like, it genuinely seemed like Daisy does enjoy what's going on. She points that the S.H.I.E.L.D. has been messing with their heads, and they had no chance, and that the only reason that basically they tried to turn her into this being, and Mack insists that the team cares about her, and so does he, and Daisy says that Bobby and Lance left S.H.I.E.L.D. because nobody else there mattered to them, which we know is the truth. They talked about before that episode that they wanted to leave, and we knew that was going to happen. So Daisy tells Mack to leave. He sets it down in his gun, says a part of her wants to come back, and the fact that he's telling him to leave, I genuinely thought she was going to get him through. I really thought that was going to happen here, but basically, he explains about the software spotting her. It says that something inside of her is resisting, and Daisy says she slipped up because she isn't a spy anymore, and that really is what's going on. She's not hiding anything. He was almost like a big brother to her. However, Mack failed to be a brother to Ruben, and I get what she's trying to say, that he was not really a brother to Ruben because he was always lying to Ruben, and Daisy says that he doesn't need to be alone anymore, that he can be with Ruben. He doesn't need to be by himself, and Mack then tosses a splinter bomb at the Kree, dissolving him. Daisy blasts him out of the building, and it's a crazy scene, it really is, because I think Daisy generally does care about Mack. You can see that here. She's not trying to weaken Mack. What she's trying to do is get him to realize that he's better off without S.H.I.E.L.D., and in many ways, she's not wrong. I mean, think of what S.H.I.E.L.D. has to do. They have to protect their cover. They have to face... They're basically losing at this point. I mean, Hive is winning, and they're losing, and the best thing to do is to be on the winning team, and that really Inhumans are going to help him with that. So Hive easily holds off the Kree. Daisy goes after Mack, breaks his hand. He says that he's not going to fight her. She beats him to the ground, and it's a really sad scene because these two were friends, and you really do get that sense that Daisy does want to help him, and in her mind, she is doing the right thing. And I'm pretty much convinced that there was a genuine reason why Daisy left. Like, this wasn't just Hive controlling her. Sure, Hive pretty much got her to do this, but I feel like she would have done this on her own anyway, because in many ways, yes, why did S.H.I.E.L.D. keep her around? Because she was an Inhuman. I mean, you remember, at the end of the Season 2 finale, that's why Coulson wanted her, was because she was an Inhuman. He felt that they could use that, and that she wanted to jumpstart the Secret Warriors to help out these Inhumans. I mean, she really has been kind of brainwashed by S.H.I.E.L.D. in many ways, and they basically didn't give her another choice. With Hive, she gets to make that choice that I think she's kind of wanted to do, which is to go off on her own and become a rogue, basically, which I think is very interesting. I really did like seeing that, and basically betray S.H.I.E.L.D., which I honestly think is the direction for Daisy to go. So I honestly don't know if Daisy will ever come back to S.H.I.E.L.D. After this episode, I don't really know, which is very interesting. And also, after the scene, I really do think we're convinced that Mack is doomed. I don't see Mack getting out of this. I really don't. I mean, Mack is a great character. I hope he gets out of the situation, but this episode, I'm really worried for him, honestly. I mean, just the way this is going. The Reaper throws Hive across the room, then beats him. It dismisses Hive as a failed experiment. Hive uses his parasite to stop the Kree splash from his face. Coulson tells Melinda to take the shot. The strike team opens fire, but he shrugs off their bullets in a small rocket. The wound heals instantly, and Melinda orders a retreat, and luckily they're okay. But Daisy continues beating Mack, but he still doesn't fight back because he doesn't want to fight her. She says they could have a connection that was real, and Max tells her that she doesn't need to do it, and again, he's convinced that that she's just, under Hive's power, but I really don't think that's true here. A lot of this seems very genuine. She uses her powers on Max's chest, Melinda fires and knocks her off, and of course, Melinda is willing to take her on. We know that. Melinda will kick anyone's ass if she has to, and the team calls for emergency evacuation. A model drips down. The team gets Mack into it as Hive arrives, goes to Daisy. He cradles her in his arms and watches as the model flies off, and really, Hive and Daisy, it's not wrong that they're together. Like, should be having this dynamic together, because Hive really, in many ways, is giving Daisy the chance to be something that she really wants to be. She doesn't want to be this agent anymore. She doesn't want to be, having to cover up who she really is. She wants to be an Inhuman. She wants everyone to know she's an Inhuman, and she doesn't want to hide it. She wants to, she doesn't want to have to harness it and conceal it from everyone. She wants to embrace it and show who she really is, and it really adds a lot to her character. I've always loved Daisy, but this is one of the reasons why I love Daisy, is because she always does go against Coulson, and in many ways, Coulson has gone in their heads. He makes them think that this is the choice and this is the only way to go, and that there is another way to go. Hive is giving her that chance to be someone that she really wants to be, and I think we really got that sense in this episode. So back to the base, Jem attends to Max's wounds. He tells Coulson that he was right about Daisy, and Piper points out that there's nothing that can stop Hive, and he's pretty much convinced that Daisy, there is no saving her, and that basically, if they have to kill her, they might have to kill her, and that she really is unstoppable. So Gemma visits Lincoln and tells him that the mission failed and Daisy's still alive. And you can tell that Lincoln's really happy that Daisy's still alive, because again, the most thing he's concerned about is Daisy's safety. Lincoln says he needs to be out helping them, and let me tell you this. Had that scene between Daisy and Lincoln, she would have recruited him, because Lincoln will literally do anything for Daisy. We really get that sense in this episode, and had Daisy told him to get on her side, I think he would have gone with her, honestly. So if we get a scene between Daisy and Lincoln, I'm honestly kind of expecting Lincoln to go on Hydra's side. Now, do I think he's going to survive? I mean, Lincoln is Inhuman. We know that. It would make sense for Daisy to get him on their side, but Jem reminds him that the antitoxin is shut down in the immune system, and as she goes, Lincoln says that he's sorry. He does know what to do. Jem admits that none of them do, and that's true. They don't really know how to handle this, because they've never really dealt with this before, and she tells Lincoln that the antitoxin didn't work and leaves, and it's really sad, because again, you do see them losing, but in many ways, you understand why they're losing, and you're not really upset that they're losing, because in many ways, Hive isn't really wrong with what he's doing. Hive gives Radcliffe the Kree heart he ripped out, says that Daisy failed them. He figured that her ties to S.H.I.E.L.D. are stronger than she claimed, and Daisy says the Hive was right to trust her, and she has the DNA that she needs. Coulson then used Kree blood to bring her back after Quinn shot her, and Hive can drain her to make the experiment work, basically. That's the best thing to do, is after we know Quinn shot her, Hive can drain her to make the experiment work, and basically she really seems like she's going to jumpstart this, and that's how the episode ends. So overall, guys, amazing stuff. I really did love this episode. There were a lot of things I really enjoyed about this one. Mainly that now we have a genuine reason why Daisy left. I don't think Daisy just left because Hive essentially got to her. I think she left on her own. I really think Daisy, she's been there since the beginning, and she's been this hacker, and she just doesn't want this anymore. Ever since that, I think Lincoln trained her, she really has changed her mind about things. We've seen this newfound sense of confidence in Daisy. Remember last year when she thought that there was something wrong with her for being an Inhuman, and now she's really starting to embrace it. She's realizing the abilities that she has, she's realizing how strong she can be, and she enjoys it. She's not trying to harness it, and she's not trying to hide it. She wants people to know that she is Inhuman, and that she does actually want to start this, because she really feels it'll give other people opportunities that she had. I mean, think of what Daisy's been able to do. Start the Secret Warriors, have these advanced abilities. They don't know what that's like, and the best thing to do is to get them all on her side, which is very interesting. But I am interested in seeing, is she going to get Lincoln on her side, Elena, Joey? I mean, these are Inhumans, so they need to get on her side at some point. We'll have to see what happens with that. That definitely is going to be very interesting. As far as Lincoln goes, I see two people dying. I see Lincoln dying, or I see Mack dying. One of them, they're going to die this season. I don't see them getting out of this. Mack in the sense that Daisy doesn't get through to him and she kills him, and Lincoln in the sense that I think Lincoln will die trying to protect Daisy. I feel like he's going to try to protect Daisy. This isn't going to work. But again, we know Hive's plan. We know what Hive wants to do. He essentially just wants everyone to turn to an Inhuman. Now, where he goes from there, we don't know. My big question is he really sincere with giving him the chance, or does he just just want to control them. I mean, I can't really tell at this point. I feel like Hive is sincere when saying he wants to turn everyone into Inhuman, but after that, where does he go? Is he like the totalitarian leader? Like, what does he really do? That's really what I'm wondering what's going to happen there, because I really do see Hive as like just someone that's easy to, someone that's easy to recruit because of how intimidating he is, because of how I think easy to, persuade, how persuasive he is, that kind of stuff. I really think he's easy to get on your side, definitely, which is very interesting. I do like this dynamic between Gemma and Fitz. Are they going to find a cure? Is there such thing as a cure for Daisy? I don't think there is, because like I said, I don't think this is all Daisy just being under Hive's control. I think a lot of this is Daisy herself. I think she genuinely feels that Hive is not wrong. I feel like she really feels like this is what she was meant to do, and that she really is meant to be with Hive. It's sad to see, but in many ways, like I said, she's not wrong. What she's saying S.H.I.E.L.D. did, yes, they've done. Yes, S.H.I.E.L.D. made her the way she is. Yes, S.H.I.E.L.D. tried to keep her as an Inhuman against Hydra. And yes, S.H.I.E.L.D. used her for her hacking skills. And I don't think she's really gotten to think about this, because she's always been under S.H.I.E.L.D.'s control. But now that she's with Hive, I think she's really making the best out of a positive situation, as a negative situation. I think that really is what this is trying to show. That she's turned something that could be very negative and used it as a positive. And if you really think about it, Hive and Daisy aren't really necessarily doing anything wrong. In their mind, they are doing the right thing. But of course, it is a detriment to S.H.I.E.L.D. and what they want to do, and the fact that they want to keep Daisy, and the fact that they obviously want to bring down Hydra. We know what Hydra's done to S.H.I.E.L.D. in the past. We know how powerful they are. We know what they could do to them. I mean, obviously, really both sides. I think the thing I love about this is that we really are on both sides, and it's kind of like Civil War. I heard Civil War, we do go to both sides. And in many ways, we do kind of have our own little Civil War going on within Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And the fact of, do you really want to be Inhuman or do you not want to? It's a very interesting conflict. I can't wait to see how that plays out. I think that's going to be very interesting. And then Melinda, you can see that Melinda really is willing to kill. And Melinda, I think, could be the one to kill Hive. I'm not really sure. I mean, again, they don't really know how to stop Hive. And that's something that really adds to how vulnerable all these characters really are, because they don't really know how to stop Hive. Coles, at this point, doesn't really have a solution. He's just kind of trying things out. He's like, you know what, let's try it. I don't know if it's going to work, but he's trying, and I definitely do like seeing that. But again, he doesn't really know if this is actually working, and it really adds a lot there, which I definitely do love seeing. Once again, we have a Daisy-centric season. I mean, last season was essentially Daisy-centric, and this season is as well. And Daisy, in many ways, has always been our main character. She really has. I mean, we started out the show with her. She's kind of always been our main focus, and I feel like that's really what they're trying to show here. But a lot of people are saying, is Daisy going to die? No, Daisy's not dying. If anyone is going to die, it's certainly not going to be Daisy, because Daisy is the thing that really is, I mean, the thing is, are they going to have to kill her? I'm not really sure. I'm hoping that they realize that this isn't just her under Hive's power. But again, is this completely her under Hive's power? Because I feel like this episode definitely shows that it's not that. I feel like she definitely has done a lot of this on her own. She really was thinking about these things, but she really didn't get to. But Hive got her to think about these things. I think they really did show that here. But overall, guys, so much you guys saw this episode. I already really do love this Fallen Agent arc. I think we're really setting up who's going to die. Mack or Lincoln's Days, one of them are going to die without a doubt. I don't know who exactly, but one of them is definitely a goner. But let me know what you guys saw this episode. Love to your thoughts on it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for the series premiere of Marciel on Netflix, because they actually put it up early, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.